Harvey, nurse practitioner. You've got diarrhea. The thing with diarrhea is it can be caused by a lot of different things. By far the majority of cases of diarrhea in the United States are just pretty fast 24-hour, 48-hour virus that you pick up. We call it viral gastroenteritis. You get dehydrated, you throw up a lot, you have diarrhea, you have a lot of cramping in your gut and then a lot of bloating, but it goes away. And the main thing to do is to stay hydrated. Drink lots of fluids. The recipe for Oral Rehydration Therapy, which is the fluid that you can drink to get rehydrated fast. Quick hint for you, college students, works great for hangovers too. It's got a balance of electrolytes and salt along with a little bit of sugar. Not as much sugar as what you will find in Gatorade or sports drinks. Oral means by mouth. So if you are doing oral rehydration therapy, for most people, that's all you need. And we know that it's safer than IV fluids most of the time. Oral rehydration therapy has saved millions of lives every year around the world. In countries that don't have resources like emergency departments with IV fluids, oral rehydration will save your life if you've got massive diarrhea and vomiting or gastroenteritis and you're losing a lot of fluids. If you have diarrhea and you've got some weird symptoms going on, like severe pain in your belly, if you're elderly and you're having severe abdominal pain, that's a medical emergency and you need to get checked out by a healthcare provider right away. If you're having high fevers, in kids, when providers miss cases of appendicitis, the most common diagnosis that they list is acute viral gastroenteritis. So in kids, you just want to kind of be aware that appendicitis can have diarrhea along with it. If you are a normal adult with a good immune system and you get the 24-hour stomach bug or the stomach flu, which is not influenza, by the way. If you get the stomach bug, oral rehydration is going to fix your body aches, your headaches, and your fatigue. When I was in Haiti after the earthquake, I got some kind of funky stomach stuff. I wasn't throwing up a lot, but I had diarrhea like crazy. And I actually got World Health Organization oral rehydration packets, ORT salts, and you put it in a water bottle. You just follow the directions on the package. And I drank that, and I felt better within half an hour. And I still had the stomach issue for another day, but I had energy, and I got rid of my headaches and my body aches really fast just by getting rehydrated. And that's what oral rehydration can do for you, and I'd sell it to you, except you can just go to the grocery store and buy the ingredients, which are orange juice, salt, baking soda, table sugar, and water. Orange juice is kind of more for flavoring, but it has some pretty easily absorbed sugars. Did I mention it's great for hangovers? If you do get diarrhea, don't drink milk. Milk sucks anyway. You shouldn't be drinking that stuff. But especially not if you got a gut ache or bloating. Milk was invented just to make you fat and screw up your bowels. So don't drink milk, especially when you have diarrhea or vomiting. Kids might benefit from a little extra zinc vitamins when they have diarrhea. Now, if you have diarrhea that's prolonged, like more than 2 days or 3 days, you might want to get it checked out. If you recently traveled to another country, you might have some traveler's diarrhea and you might need to get that checked out too. So you might need an antibiotic for that. If you have chronic diarrhea, that's another issue, and that needs to be checked out because there's a lot of things that can cause chronic diarrhea, like inflammatory conditions like Crohn's disease or ulcerative colitis. If you're from a country with parasites, you might need to be treated for parasites. If you have blood in your stool when you poop, blood in your poop, probably just hemorrhoids, but it could be something bad. If you're over the age of 50 and you have blood in your stool, you need to be screened for colon cancer. Or if you're younger, bleeding ulcers, ulcerative colitis, things like that can cause blood in your stool. So that is something to get checked out with a medical provider. If you got the 24-hour tummy bug and everybody in your family has it, you don't need to come into the clinic necessarily. As long as you have oral rehydration therapy and you stay hydrated. If you have diabetes or you have an immune system problem, you might want to come in just to get checked out. I give this lecture in spurts, no pun intended, but certain times of the year I'll get 20 people in the clinic that all have diarrhea from around town, and then other times of the year we'll go weeks and weeks and nobody will have the stomach bug. So if you're just vomiting and you don't have diarrhea, that's kind of weird. You might want to get that checked out by a healthcare provider. Fiber helps most types of diarrhea. If you have sudden onset of diarrhea, Metamucil or an absorbent fiber like that can help slow things down. Tums can help slow down diarrhea. So if you're constipated and you're taking Tums every day, might be because of the Tums. Tums or calcium plugs you up. Magnesium, on the other hand, loosens you up. So if you suddenly started a ton of coconut oil in your coffee, or if you're taking magnesium supplements, you might get diarrhea from that. Simethicone or Gas-X is wonderful if you get bloating. Even if you don't have diarrhea, if you just got bloating gas in your gut, Gas-X is awesome. If that only happens after you eat beans, then get some Beano. Beano is great if you like beans and you get gas from beans or broccoli, things like that. Imodium is wonderful and it's really pretty safe no matter what kind of diarrhea you have. So Imodium plus simethicone will really plug things up. So that'll get rid of the diarrhea within a day usually. Just follow the directions. You can buy it over the counter. Do what it says on the package. Don't overdo it, because I've certainly seen folks who had diarrhea, took way too much Imodium and Tums, and got plugged up. And getting plugged up is no fun. When I say plugged up, I mean constipation. Probiotics. I'm a big fan of probiotics. I make my own by making sauerkraut. But you can buy probiotics and it's helpful in most types of diarrhea. Coca-Cola. Now, I hate Coke. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm anti-pop or soda or cola or whatever you call it where you're from. But there's one time that I recommend Coca-Cola, and that's if you're sick to your stomach, you have nausea, vomiting, and diarrhea. It's not a good fluid replacement, but it eases the nausea. So I learned this actually from a pilot in Chihuahua, Mexico. He took us up in his little Cessna, did some loop-de-loops. We all got really sick, so he bought us Coke to settle our stomachs from the motion sickness. So then, on that same trip, when we went up into the mountains to Copper Canyon for sightseeing, the mountain roads were horrible and the van driver was going like 80 miles an hour. So we all sipped on a bottle of Coke. You don't want to chug it, you just want to sip on Coke. A sip every 10-15 minutes. That's really great for nausea and motion sickness. Who would have thought? On the topic of motion sickness, try Sudafed. Pseudoephedrine, not Sudafed PE, which is crap and fake, placebo. You want to get the stuff that you have to get from behind the counter and show your driver's license? Sudafed. The only thing it's really good for is migraines and motion sickness, it actually helps. And it doesn't knock you out like meclizine or Dramamine. So Sudafed and Coke. You can add in some meclizine if you're really motion sickness. I think I did on that trip to Copper Canyon up the mountain roads that were crazy. I'll never do that again. Actually I will, but I won't like it. If you've been on antibiotics in the last 2 months, or even longer, and you develop diarrhea, you might want to go in and get that checked out. You might have Clostridium difficile, which is antibiotic-associated colitis or diarrhea. Taking probiotics will probably help, but you may need some other treatment also. Another good reason to really avoid antibiotics if you don't really need them. They cause a lot of bad things, and diarrhea is one of those bad things. Clindamycin, man, that just tears up your gut. I only use clindamycin for patients that I don't like. Well, okay, so I use it for some other things too. But if I don't like you and you ask for it by name, I'll probably give it to you because I don't like you and I want to tear up your gut. No, I'm just kidding. This really is making me sound like a mean guy. C. difficile. Okay, you hear a lot of hype about bad bugs in the world today, right? So, C. diff, it's creepy. I mean, it's poop, right? It's in poop. So, but it lives on surfaces for a really long time. So, you can't get gonorrhea or chlamydia from a toilet seat, but you can sure get C. diff. You can get C. diff from a table. Man, creepy.